Hi, we're Richard and Jackie from Early Retirement Wanderlust.
And we've just got back from a 5-day campervan trip down the Yorkshire coast, celebrating our 28th wedding anniversary. And the highlight being,
We found puffins! Firstly, we need to apologise to you. Normally we would do bits of chatting about where we are in situ, but with it being our wedding anniversary weekend, and actually it was really quite windy at points, we decided that we would just enjoy our time while we were there and do a bit of a chat afterwards, tell you what we've been up to. So as we said, it was our wedding anniversary. We hadn't actually put a lot of thought into what we were going to do. So as the time got closer, we had a really good think. And one of the things I've been desperate to do for years is to go and find the puffins.
we haven't been away because of the renovations in our campervan for what seems like months. So we just decided that we were going to have a quick impromptu trip, head off. We weren't quite sure where we were going, apart from going to the coast. We certainly weren't sure where we were staying. And we thought it would be a really good sort of shakedown trip as well for future travels, because we're looking to get into Europe in the next few weeks, and having not been away in the van, we're a little bit out of practice.
Yeah, so after a little bit of research, we did discover, we live in North Yorkshire, that there was actually, supposedly, a colony of puffins out towards Flamborough Head and Brempton Cliffs. So that's where we headed to. The weather forecast on Thursday looked really good. So we set off from our little house in the Yorkshire Dales. It was chucking it down. We packed really quickly because we were just running in and out of the rain. We weren't quite sure if we packed everything we needed at this point.
And it rained pretty much solidly all the way across the Yorkshire moors, and we headed for Sands End, which is one of our favourite little resorts on that coastline.
Yeah, when we got there, the blue skies appeared and we had an amazing afternoon. We parked up at the head of the cliff, we took a bottle of wine down to the steps and sat and played backgammon for a couple of hours.
Yeah, very cosmopolitan. And then we did another traditional thing and headed to the local fish and chip shop, because fish and chips in Yorkshire and fish and chips on the Yorkshire coast are amazing. And treated ourselves to fish tacos for me.
Yeah, and I had a good old portion of fish bites and chips.
But it was just so nice to sit out on a warm evening, sitting on the beach, drinking a bit of wine, watching the sunset. And yeah, we felt really chilled after that first day.
So then we headed off to Whitby. It's one of our favourite places. It's where we both used to go when we were children. And there's certain things you have to do in Whitby.
So we always park by the Abbey, which is up on the hillside, which then means you get to see the Abbey as the first thing you do when you go into Whitby, because that's what we always do. And the only way down into town is via the 199 steps.
And I always have to count just to check there's still 199. There were.
And we did other traditional things that you would do at the seaside. So we would love to have played seaside bingo, but there's no bingo hall left. So we did the penny slots, which was fun.
We did. We had some more fish and chips, because you always have to go to the Magpie Cafe and eat chips on the beach.
Another top spot to go in Whitby is Mrs. Botham's Bakery. Now, we took cake out there, Mrs. Botham's Yorkshire Brack, which is spot on. And then we headed further down the coast to a little area we know that has a resident seal colony. And one of the reasons we went on the trip was that we wanted to relax and spend time with the cameras and capture a bit of wildlife. And we were the only people on the beach with these amazing seals, and we had a lovely couple of hours just pottering around with them.
Yeah, it's great. You have to keep your distance from them because they do get spooked easily, but we've got the long range camera, so it was lovely just sitting and chilling and listening to the sounds of the seals.
After a couple of nights of wild camping, we decided that we definitely wanted the luxury of a campsite, or at least to be a little bit closer to where the puffins are going to be at Brempton Cliffs. So we stopped at the Wold Farm campsite, which was a really basic campsite. It was really quiet, it was really peaceful. It was a field in the middle of nowhere down a very long track surrounded by arable fields, but more importantly, it was just a really beautiful walk to the cliffs.
It is our kind of campsite. We're not particularly keen on the big campsites that have got loads and loads of caravans and motorhomes. So yeah, they gave us a map that we headed down towards the cliffs. It had a little spot where it said we would see puffins. We got there and we didn't see a single puffin at all. Didn't help that I forgot my binoculars.
But the benefit of that is that you can then keep heading north and heading up into the RSPB reserve where there's set viewing points. And we hit all of these set viewing points and still didn't see any puffins. So we kept heading north and we were just about running out of space on the RSPB reserve.
And you could see a little group gathering. So we went being nosy. We thought they must be seeing puffins. And they were watching the teeniest little puffin that was attempting to land on a tiny little shelf. And we saw him make at least 5 attempts, didn't he? He was so cute with his little orange feet and his little orange beak, and he kept swooping and miss. And the whole crowd was going, no! Until on the 5th attempt, he got a round of applause. And looked around as if to say, I'm very different to all these other birds. But yeah, we sat and watched him for about half an hour.
And then one of the other highlights, we saw some beautiful gannets. You don't normally hear those two words, beautiful and gannet, in the same sentence.
They are beautiful.
But they were just crooning over each other and real lovebirds. And it was just so cute and very, very pretty to watch. And then we decided we'd go back the following morning. And we had a little bit more success.
We did. We went back to the original spot that the campsite said you'd see puffins, and it was fab. We saw 4 or 5 different puffins. There was one particular couple that was so cute. They were looking for a little burrow. The male puffin really wanted the burrow that some of the razor bills had already made their home. He wasn't giving up, but his partner went and found the little hole for them.
After a lovely couple of days at the farm and watching the puffins, we headed off further south again down to Flamborough Head, a place that we'd heard lots about but didn't really know what to expect. And it was a real surprise.
It was absolutely gorgeous. It's got lots of white cliffs that makes the waters below it quite milky, and the yellow sand. And there was another seal colony there, and there was dozens of seals just swimming around. It's definitely a place that we said we will go back to now that we're really retired, which is a lovely thing to say. But it's somewhere that we said we'd go back to midweek when we know, because we live in Yorkshire, that we can just pop across and spend a couple of days there when we know it'll be a bit quieter.
And the final part of our trip
that you have to do
wouldn't be without heading just a little bit further north to one of our favourite little coastal villages, Robin Hood's Bay. It wasn't the best weather, but Robin Hood's Bay is just gorgeous. You have to park at the top. It's a long, steep walk down into the village, but it's just beautiful.
It is. It's one of my favourite places.
And it's one of the places that we've been to as kids, we've taken our kids to, and now that we're early retired, we still have to keep going back. So Robin Hood's Bay, definitely a place to go to.
The trip didn't go without a few niggles though. We haven't been away in the van. Ooh, gosh, we went skiing in January, and I don't think we've had a proper trip since then. And we did find a few issues.
And I'm glad we did,
Yes.
Because the last thing I would want to do is to head off into Europe for a good few weeks and have those problems hit us. The first thing was that we filled the water tanks up, and as soon as we started to use the tap, the bottom of the van started filling with water.
Yeah, we just had a little bit of a minor flood. I think upon investigation, Richard thinks he can fix that. We've got a hot water system that we never actually use, but we can have hot water when we're on a hookup in the van. And we think one of the valves is leaking. Yeah. So that's a small thing, hopefully, that we can fix. More importantly, though, when we were trying to have a barbecue.
The barbecue point, which has lasted 6 years on the van and is out in all weathers and is probably in the worst position it could be on the van because it's at the back of the van just underneath the bumper. That's all seized up. And to be fair, it's needed a bit of work on it for about a year or so anyway. So we've got that booked in the next week or so to get that sorted out. It's not something that we could attempt because it's a specialist gas thing, but we love our outdoor barbecues.
We do, and it wasn't great having to, because it was our wedding anniversary night that we tried the barbecue. It wasn't great trying to do our steaks inside.
Linked with the gas, we suddenly realised that we were running out of gas, and we rarely have to fill up the LPG tank. I think it's about a once every 6 months, but we then realised that we were in danger of running out of gas and not being able to cook anything. So we had to do a little bit of a hunt. LPG is getting a little bit rarer in the UK.
Yeah, there is a website that you can look on to find stations that are supposed to have LPG, and we called it 2 in Scarborough that didn't, but actually they were really helpful and sent us to somewhere just outside of Scarborough. So we filled with LPG, then we couldn't use it because the barbecue didn't work.
But then when we came to eat, we realised we lasted the whole weekend on 1 fork and 1 spoon, which wasn't great.
Made for a nice romantic meal, eating steak and salad with a fork and
1
you with a
spoon between us.
Disasters apart, we had an absolutely amazing time. We love the Yorkshire coast, and we loved doing all the things that we always do when we go to the coast, but also liked finding new places.
And we love the freedom of the van. And in some respects, I think we've forgotten over the course of the last few months how much we loved that. We sleep better in the van. We're much more relaxed. Our stress levels suddenly plummet when we're away in the van, and we don't really have too many plans, and that's the way we like it, and we know it's good for us.
Yep, another successful trip. Ready for the next one now.